This is the online orientation for CISS 310. My name is Lance Parks. I am the instructor for this course. We're going to go over the syllabus. We're going to take a look at the online course portal or website, and we're going to take a look at the ebook. If everything goes well, this will take me about 30 minutes. The nice thing about the video is that you can pause, rewind, and start it over. So if you need to hear something again, just repeat it with the video. You can always ask me questions via email. My email address is listed right here. But please note, I don't check my email over the weekend. So if you do email me over a weekend, you will not receive a response until Monday. CISS 310 covers CompTIA's Security Plus certification exam. We'll go into more detail about that in a minute. We primarily use two websites in this course. Canvas, or the course portal, is where we will post discussion board, threads. We will also check grades there. Test Out is your ebook. We'll take a look at that in a minute. This is a 3-unit online course. There is no prereq, but there is an advisory of a server course, whether it be Windows, Linux, etc., and 304, which is a general networking course. If you really have not had any server experience or taken a course, or the same with networking, you might want to contact me and see if you will be successful in this class. The hardest part about taking this class over the summer is that you have to do all of the work in half the time, half the normal time. This is a 4-credit course for the CSU system. We'll take a look at the ebook later, but we'll come back to this. I'm not going to read the course objectives to save time, but once again, this course covers a certificate that is very popular with the IT industry called CompTIA Security Plus. It is using the material for the latest certificate. Although taking this course does not guarantee or mean you get CompTIA's certificate, you have to pay for that and take it separately. It does definitely prepare you. Here are some learning objectives. Again, I'm not going to read them, but I urge you to take a look at them because they go into some detail about the topics we will be covering in this course. I do want to talk about student obligations. Attendance. The only attendance for an online course like this one is the final exam. If you cannot make the final exam, you need to let me know ahead of time as we can make alternate arrangements. For example, let you take the final early. In the ebook, you're going to be learning much like you would in an on-ground class. First, in an on-ground class, you would have lectures, you would have demonstrations, you would work on labs. Had this been a Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday class, you get all of that through the ebook. The lecture material are called videos. They are short and sweet. They tend to be about 5 to 10 minutes a piece, but there are a lot of them. And you are expected to watch all of the videos in this course if you want to receive your points for doing the work. The videos are important because as it's not an on-ground class, you need to do the lecture material at home through these videos. The demonstrations would also be something that is covered in an on-ground class, whereas an instructor like myself might demonstrate something about a server. Now you're getting that demonstration through the ebook. They're really pretty good. And with the demonstrations, like the videos, they tend to be, 5 minutes, 10 minutes max. Sometimes they're less, sometimes they're more. But the way I grade it is that you watched the video or demonstration or not, or you watched part of it or all of it. So don't shortchange yourself on the learning material. Watch the videos. They contain a lot of important information. The only problem with the videos is that they do take time. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. So at this point, you've watched a lecture video or two, you've watched a demonstration. Now it's time to test your skills. That's done through the labs. The labs kind of reinforce what you've just learned. And the nice thing about the labs is they give you some hands-on for a real-life experience. There are 74 labs in the course. The labs tend to be pretty short. You only have to do maybe 3 or 4 tasks, and you must complete them 100% successfully in order to receive points. The good part is you can repeat the labs as many times as you want, and I am here to support you with the labs should you get stuck. So definitely email me. I can provide some tips, and in some cases, if a lab is particularly tricky, I will even do a lab video that you can watch. So the labs, one of the best parts of the course. Even though it's an ebook, there is written information. They are called fact sheets. There are 111 fact sheets that you're going to read in this course. They only tend to be about 1 to 3 pages in length. What I recommend you do is you save them as a PDF file so that you can go back and look at them for the quizzes or look at them for the final exam. Another thing that is part of the ebook, last but not least, are the quizzes. And they do check your progress in addition to the labs. There are 82 quizzes, but the quizzes literally range in number of questions from 1 to 2 to maybe 10 or more. You have to pass them 80% or higher to get full credit, but like the labs, you can repeat them as many times as you want. There is a final exam scheduled for August 3rd, and what I'm going to have you do is take TestOut's Security Pro certification exam, which covers pretty much the same content as CompTIA. Everything you're learning in the ebook will prepare you for CompTIA plus TestOut's certification. The thing that is a little added bonus, by buying the ebook, you get a voucher for their certification exam. So I'm going to go ahead and have you use it for the final. And if you pass or get a high enough score, you can get their certification. More about that later. But it is even open notes. Discussion boards. It's important in an online course to still have channels of communication. The best format for communication is a discussion board. Here you can post questions, answer other people's questions about the material that you're learning. So you're expected per module to post at least one question about the module or chapter, and also answer someone else's question, whether it's mine or another student's. Most discussion boards cover 3 modules, so you're looking at a minimum of 6 posts to get full credit. And this is a typo, they're worth 30 points. All assignments are due typically on Mondays by noon. Late work, and I do allow some late work. Late work in this course, for the module work, you cannot turn the discussion boards in late or the extra credit. But for the modules, you have an extra week to get them done. So if they're due July 2nd, you have until the 7th to submit them for a late grade. Typically, a late grade is the loss of one grade, going from something like an A to a B, for example. But that still gives you an extra week to get them done. Plagiarism, cheating, I'm not going to talk about it, but it's important you don't plagiarize other people's work, but it's all listed out here. Same with cheating. If for any reason you are no longer able to take this course, it is your responsibility to drop the course. I do hope, however, that is not the case, but if you are having problems, please contact me and I can provide some suggestions. If you do have a documented disability, it's important that you contact the Office of DSPS as soon as possible, and they will send me a letter that highlights accommodations, and I cannot provide those accommodations until I get that letter. Online course responsibility. I mentioned earlier I was going to talk about this. The hard part of taking what would normally be a full-term course over the summer is you're having to work again twice as fast. So normally, a student taking this course would work about 8 hours per week on the content. That's watching the videos, watching the demonstrations, doing the labs, reading the fact sheets, quizzes, and the discussion boards. But now you're having to do twice as much material per week, and that bumps it up to about 16 hours per week to really work through the material successfully. If you're trying to get it done in 8 or 10 hours a week, you're going to be rushing. You're not going to do as well. So it's important to put aside around 16 hours per week just for this course. Keep in mind, not all students are the same. Some of you might have additional coursework that will help you with this material, or work experience that will help you with this material. And you might be able to get through the material a little quicker. Maybe it's 14, 12 hours for you. But nevertheless, for an average student, it's going to take about 16 hours a week. Some of you might be more. But put aside this time every week because you cannot get behind. I don't recommend you try to get everything done in 1 or 2 days. So what I do recommend is you break this up into about 4 days minimum, working maybe 4 hours a day or so. I know that's a lot of time, but you're getting through the material, twice as much material in half the time. My obligations are important. If you have questions, please let me know. We'll take a look at Canvas in just a minute. And again, we'll take a look at the ebook in just a minute. The evaluation. What are your assignments? We will take an orientation quiz in a few minutes. It's worth 30 points. There is a discussion board. You have 5 of them, 30 points each. There is a Security Plus extra credit, but note, 50 points. It's a lot of extra credit. I really recommend you squeeze time in to get that taken. If you get, let's say, 50% on that, then you'll get 25 points. The modules, there are 9 of them, 80 points apiece, but look at that. It's the bulk of your grade in this course, is doing the modules, watching those videos, doing those labs, and then that final exam is 100 points. Here's our schedule. It's really quick. Basically, you have 2 weeks to get through 3 modules. Not horrible, but some of the modules are a little on the larger side, so plan ahead for that. So modules 1 to 3, they are not due until July 2nd, but you want to be sure to start them the first week that they're scheduled and try then to complete them the second week. Don't wait to the second week to get them started. 4 to 6, and then 7 to 9. And then at the end, there is the final exam to get prepared for. Plus, I recommend you do that extra credit. Let's take a look at Canvas. This is the course website. You've probably already been looking around a little bit. Any recent announcement should pop up at the top. Course summary is a nice, useful tool for looking at what's coming due next. Any announcements will show up here as well. All of your assignments are going to show up here. These are the links to the discussion board. You can also get to them through this button. These modules, you do not submit anything in Canvas for the modules. You're going to do all the work for those in the ebook. But this is where I assign your grades. So note, there's nothing to submit here. Just reminders on when it's due and what's expected. Note the due date and the availability date. Due date is the due date. The availability is the late due date. So it's due July 2nd, but it's available late until the 9th. You basically get 1 more week to submit it late if necessary. But remember, you lose a grade, so try not to do that too often. Our 9 modules, extra credit, and final. Discussion boards here, the class introduction. You should be part of a group. I do like to break students up into a couple groups for the discussion board so it's not so overwhelming. When you have a class as large as this, you get to know your fellow student better if you're in a group of about 10 to 15 versus 50. So you should be part of a group, and you want to post an introduction in your group. You can do that by hitting the reply or replying to somebody else. Please note, you can post questions to our instructional assistant, Norbert Moreau. He is the IA in BS 145A, which is a computer lab on campus. If you do not have a computer that is available at home or has really reliable internet access, you might want to come into the computer lab to do your work. But you can post questions to him here. If you want to post questions to me, I recommend you send me an email. You can also post questions for other students, and I don't mean trying to get the answer for a quiz question, but just a general question about the field, something like that. These are the pinned and open discussion boards. These are ones that are upcoming, and then these will ultimately, after the due date, they will be closed. Note, the availability and due date are the same. You cannot submit discussion boards late. Once they're due, they're due. Grades, it's important to check your grade book frequently because you will see feedback from me. Plus, you want to make sure I'm not making any mistakes. Copy of your syllabus, lesson plans, really useful document because it does highlight everything you will be doing in your ebook. Note, it's pretty long with, very detailed, but it tells you exactly like what demonstrations looks like you have in 2.6. You have a video lecture that's about 11 minutes. These are some longer ones. A couple demonstrations, a few fact sheets, and a quiz, but no lab in that particular one. A lot of good information here. The Security Plus exam mapping is a useful document as well. I know um, so basically the sections of the security CompTIA Security Plus, and it maps you with the different objectives. So using the simulator, which is part of the ebook, is not covered in the CompTIA exam. But when you get to Module 2, the security basics, understanding attacks, these are covered in the CompTIA Security Plus exam. So kind of a useful document. If you ever wonder where something in the ebook relates to something in the CompTIA Security Plus exam. And then the orientation quiz. Startup guide, if you're brand new to test out, you might want to take a look at these documents here. But let's see. Go back to grades for a minute. The modules, so they are due again by a certain date, but students have a week to submit them late. Please note that after July 2nd at 12 p.m., this will start showing up with a little late notification. Don't panic if you did the work. I did not change that. Canvas does it for me. I wish I could turn it off. But basically, when I go in and input your grade, then I will change that from turn off basically that it was late. Unless you are actually with late work, it will not be marked late after the grades are done. I know I'll remind folks again, it always scares some students that did the work and now they're seeing their grade books show up with marks of late on things. But don't worry, it's a Canvas thing that I have nothing to do with. Everyone in the class is here. Your groups are here. You should have access to one of these groups, and the groups even have a nice little website homepage if you want to utilize that. Link to the library, student services, and even a Google Drive for saving some information like those fact sheets. Let's take a look at the ebook. This is the publisher's website. It's called Test Out. If you go to purchase, enter price code. The price code, hold on a second, close your eyes, is right here, the 14-232TA. If you don't enter this price code, you'll pay the full price for the ebook, which is about $500 to $600. You don't want to do that. You want to pay the 117 or so. If I scroll down, this should be our ebook right here. It's called Test Out Security Pro. If you click the link, it will give you some information about it. But if you, as you notice, it talks about CompTIA's Security Plus, purchase, and you can, I go back a second. You can also click add to cart, does the same thing. I want to buy 2. I recommend you purchase the ebook from the publisher for 2 reasons. One, it's cheaper, and well, cheaper and faster, I guess, are the 2 reasons. If you buy it from the bookstore, they're going to have to tag on a little additional money for the work of actually tracking everything, and it is definitely much faster. So check out institution. It's very easy to misspell the college's name, CISS, and you're a student, you accept that. First, last name, email, once, twice to make sure it's correct. Telephone, street, city, state, zip, and then you method of payment, continue. Once you have paid for your ebook, you should receive an activation code in your email. Look for that activation code. So let's say you've paid for the ebook. Then, one second, you have your activation code. You're going to want to log in. Actually, if you've never used it before, you're going to want to create an account. For your login, I recommend you use your student ID, the W number. That way you don't have to remember multiple logins. Password, first, last, email, and then your activation number that came. Since I've already done all this, I'm going to log in. My home page is going to look a little different than yours. Don't freak out. But you should see a location where you can add or link your ebook to the college. It's important you link the ebook to the college, because if you don't, I can't see you. In the optional material under Canvas modules, it does help you with linking your ebook to the college. So it's not just a matter of buying the ebook, you need to make sure it's linked to the college. So I'm actually in the ebook. All 9 chapters or modules, and then it has 2 practice exams, Security Pro, CompTIA. This is the one for extra credit. If you do the Security Pro, you don't get extra credit. You got to do this one. And the one you need to do is this one down here for extra credit at the end of the class. But let's jump up to the top. So once again, these are videos, lectures, and then you're going to have demonstrations. So let's click on one. You can play the video, just the video, or you can play it with the interactive script. I kind of like the interactive script. All right. So, had this been an on-ground class, I would have been doing an introduction that you would have had in the classroom. Now you're going to be watching it online. Everything she is saying is also over here. I like the fact you can print this. I recommend you print it as a PDF. That way you have a copy of this video. Everything said in this video. It is a 3-minute, 50-second video. To get credit, you need to watch the whole thing, not half of it, whatever. But once you've watched the whole thing, you are more than welcome to go back and watch it, or go back and watch part of it. Keep it at the normal speed. If you speed it up 2x, 1.5x, when I'm going to grade stuff, it's going to look like you only watched half the video or less, depending on how fast you sped it up. So I get it. Some of you, this might be a refresher. Maybe there's a way you can multitask, get through the videos still at normal speed, and do something else. The closed captioning is over there, volume control, and you can make this full screen or not. The videos are pretty good, I really think. So you need to watch all of them. There are fact sheets like this that you need to read. Again, I recommend you print them as a PDF. And there will be some little quizzes. Thing about the quizzes, what I recommend you do when it comes to the quizzes, actually complete the whole module before you take the quiz. I don't know why, but sometimes you'll get a question for the quiz from some material that's in an upcoming module. Yes, it doesn't make sense to me either, but it's just the way the publisher has done it, I guess. So once again, here is a demonstration. So with demonstrations, you are watching something, usually on a server, that you might have to repeat later. So the demonstrations really help you with the lab. So it's about a 5-minute and 30-second demonstration. Once again, same thing as the lecture. It's important you watch the whole thing. And here are a couple labs. Now, what is it with these green check marks? This means these are things that you have worked on. Doesn't mean completed, just worked on. Don't get fooled and think that, oh, just because I have a green check mark means I'm done. There are reports that you can view outside of the ebook. There's a link outside of your ebook that's a report feature that has much more detail, similar to what I'm seeing, that you should be looking at instead. I also recommend you just get a notebook and start jotting down 111 and how long you watched it, what date, how long you watched it. Then you know you're done. These are labs. Little thing you need to do, start. Everything that you saw there will be over on the left side typically. Depending on your internet access will depend on how long it takes. This is a more hands-on lab. I do have a lab video available for these two labs because they are a little tricky. It's a little unusual doing a hands-on lab in a virtual environment. But after a while, it gets kind of fun. I think. Maybe I'm just weird. But anyway, what you're going to be doing is connecting certain hardware devices, with the cables and turning things on and getting things started. So if you do get stuck, I do provide a couple videos that you can watch that might help, especially with these first couple. They do tend to stump a lot of people. So try the lab first. If you click done, you'll get a summary. It'll give you some details. Once again, you can print this as a PDF, hang on to it, and it gives you a little cheat sheet, as I call it, explanation at the end. But the important thing is, it really doesn't tell you step by step for everything. It does give you some hints, but that's the one thing I really like about the ebook compared to a traditional lab book that just walks you through the lab step by step. And you're not really learning too much there. You're turning your brain off just following directions. So you got a couple labs, but this is a short module, but I think you're starting to get the idea a little bit. And it does have all of the components for each of the modules. Note, some modules, like 2, are a lot bigger. Security basics is an important topic. So instead of 2 subsections, you've got 6. 3 is also a bigger, dealing with policies and procedures. And it is 9. Okay. So anyway, 2 weeks to work on the first 3, 2 weeks to work on the next 3, 2 weeks to work on the last 3, and then at the end, a week for the extra credit and the final exam. Plus you get 1 week at the beginning to get your ebook and just get everything started. All right. But for an online course, this is a really nice way to learn the material. The publisher's done a really good job. I will be going in, monitoring your work. You will get an occasional email from me offering support or advice. And then sometimes I will post that information in Canvas and the gradebook as well. But other times you will receive an email instead. All right. I'm going to go back to Canvas. I think I've covered about everything. The password for the quiz, orientation quiz, is right here. Oh, keep missing it. The word welcome. So you're going to need to type that in to access it. They call it an access code, not a password. But you need to type it in, welcome, all lowercase. But here are the questions and the answers. So you should get 100%. How many times minimum should a student post in a discussion board unless told otherwise? If you recall from earlier, when I talked about the discussion boards, they typically cover 3 modules. You post 1 question and 1 answer per module. So 2 times 3 is 6. There are a couple exceptions. With your introduction the first week, you only need to post a minimum of once. And with the review at the end of the class, only once. Purchasing the ebook is optional. I just want to be really clear about that. Now, that is false. Purchasing the ebook is required because if you don't purchase the ebook and link it to the course, I cannot monitor and grade your work. The instructor answers email over the weekend. As I mentioned earlier, that's false. If you email me on Saturday or Sunday, don't expect an answer until Monday or later. What is the prereq? If you go back to the syllabus, there is no prereq, but there are some advisories. And if you have not taken the advisory courses, I recommend you contact me so I can make sure you'll be successful in the course. Students will learn about the authentication, the types of attacks, malicious code, etc., etc. I know it's in here somewhere. Authentication, types of attacks, malicious code, network. Pretty sure that's true. I guess I'll find out. Yeah, it is true. I just don't think it's exactly worded that way. But there are your answers. You need to get this done by, where's the due date? There it is. It's due June 18th by noon. You do get an extra week if there is a problem, but it'll be considered late at that point. And your post, be sure to get your post in the discussion board the first week. I recommend you try and purchase your ebook the first week because we do get started rather quickly and you do have to move rather quickly through the course material. If you have any questions, be sure to let me know. Thank you.